There's only really three things you need to do in real estate and help people. And it's the three things that we focus on. Number one is you got to help people make more money because money still is the metric. And you want to switch that, by the way, from commissions to profits or payroll to profits. Then what you want to do is you want to work less hours. So those whose vision, the lens that they look at the world, the way they see the world is just, I'm going to make more money by doing more. That doesn't work long term. And the third thing you've got to do is you got to make a difference in the people around you.
Hi, I'm Noel with today's Brew, where top producing real estate agents and coaches share their tips on taking more listings, making more money, and having fun doing it. On today's episode, we welcome Rick Fuller. Hi, Rick. How are you?
Hey, great, Noel. How are you?
I am wonderful. Thank you for joining us today.
Glad to be here.
Well, let's give a little bit of history to you, other than being a major number producing agent for a long time. Talk a little bit about that. And then let's also talk about you being a speaker and coach for Brian Eisenhower.
Yeah, Noel, my story begins over 20 years ago. I bought my very first home. I was in my early 20s. It was a great decision, but a terrible experience. And,
no.
Yeah, the worst you can imagine was my experience buying my first home. And yet the home was going up in value. It was literally going up in value faster and making more money for me than my 9-to-5 job, which was actually not 9 to 5 because it was retail. It was 9 to 9. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
And so my original goal, I had a 1-year-old at home. Eventually I'd have 2 more kids at home. My original goal was to go into the real estate business because I wanted to have people have the buying decision that I had, the results, without the poor experience. So that was 20 plus years ago. I wrote down on a napkin, I wanted to provide my clients the kind of experience they're excited to tell a friend about based on my bad experience. I started my real estate company. After my first transaction, I hired a transaction coordinator. And
after your first transaction?
First transaction, I hired my transaction coordinator. By the end of my first year, I had agents working with me. Fast forward 10 years, we owned and operated our office. Fast forward a few years, we then expanded throughout the San Francisco Bay Area. Then we saw people moving from the Bay Area, which is San Francisco, Oakland, Berkeley, all of that, to more suburban areas. So like Sacramento and Roseville and Folsom and El Dorado Hills, like that region. It's about an hour and a half away, maybe 2 hours, depending on where you're at. And so then I launched offices there. We started realizing the value of being able to provide ancillary services. So we opened a mortgage arm of our company. We opened up a real estate licensing school, an insurance agency, a construction company, all designed to kind of link through it to honestly to fulfill what I wrote day one, which was to provide the kind of experience people are excited to tell a friend about. And my story with Brian Eisenhower, who I know you interviewed several weeks ago, is honestly, Noel, I feel like the guy that got away. I don't know if you've ever watched that cartoon Nemo. I have 3 daughters, so
I have one, but she's almost 17, so you forget all the things you did when you were younger.
Totally. Well, when my daughters were really young, I went out and I bought that movie Nemo for my daughters. For my daughter. Right.
Yeah, right. And then you were obsessed.
Exactly. And there's a scene in that movie where Marlin, his dad, and Nemo gets caught up in this net and he somehow gets out. And all the fish get caught up in this net and obviously taken onto the boat. And I feel like the guy that got away in the industry. I saw so many people in our industry have good aspirations, good goals, good dreams. And yet it destroyed their marriage. It destroyed the relationship with their kids. They work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And eventually the agents that joined in the first year, most of them didn't make it. And then in 10 years, there were very few people in the industry. And I felt like I was the one that got away. And I felt like I was the guy that had a story on how to build a business rather than a sales job.
And to help people.
And I've actually come to the conclusion that there's only really 3 things you need to do in real estate, and help people And it's the three things that we focus on. And that's number one, is you got to help people make more money, because money still is the metric. Okay. And you want to switch that, by the way, from commissions to profits, or payroll to profits, right? So big difference between same amount of money delivered as a profit is way better, way more scalable than delivered as a payroll check or as a commission. Then what you want to do is you want to work less hours. So those whose vision, the lens that they look at the world, the way they see the world is just, I'm going to make more money by doing more. I'm just going to keep stacking stuff on my plate. That doesn't work long term. And the third thing you've got to do if you want to have like this internal satisfaction in the work that you're doing is you got to make a difference in the people around you. And, you know, you and I have had the experience of giving keys to a first-time home buyer. And that's great. We love that. Or somebody transitioning, or even an investor, and they're doing a 1031 exchange, and you help make that happen. And there's just this internal satisfaction. It is multiplied 10 times over, Noel, when you can see your team members and the people who bought into your vision, your dream, your ideas, and they're owning their investment properties, or they're buying their first home, or they're sending their kids to college, or whatever. So the vision we use, or the lens we use to look at the industry, because we feel like we're the people that the fish that got away.
Yeah, the lucky ones, the chosen ones.
Is how do we help people make more money, work less hours, and make a greater difference in the people around them? And that has become like everything we base our decisions on are focused on that three lens.
Well, that's what everybody wants to know. Every agent wants to know that. And we try on today's Brew to showcase that if you stick to a simple schedule and a routine, and you prospect and you have a coach, that you'll do well if you're coachable and you listen and do what you say you're going to do and show up for yourself every day and your teammates. So saying that, help some agents understand the simplicity of a schedule and what they should be doing.
Yeah. Well, you remember the Italian economist, Noel? His name was Pareto. It's actually Wilfredo Pareto. And he wrote what most people know is the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule. In real estate, that's dead. It's now 97-3. There's only 3% of things that really matter in an agent's life and business. And 97% of the things that are vying for our attention, that are pulling us like a tractor pull, is a waste of time, as a distraction from the 3%. And the 3%, you want to simplify it, it's this. You have to generate more customers. And we know a customer is a name, phone number, email address, want to buy now or in the near future, have not or are not an agent. That makes them a customer, right? That's a customer. It's not a lead or a prospect. It's not any of that. It's a customer. It's a human being that wants to have a good buying and selling experience, one that we want them to tell a friend about. Number two is we have to convert those customers to clients, clients to contracts, contracts to close. And once you have a close, you get a commission. And so what happens in this process, and especially with the $418 million NAR settlement, is whether you're working with a buyer now or a seller, you better have an organized sales process that moves your customers to clients with a written representation agreement, preferably an exclusive agreement. And if you lack that, then number one, you're in violations of the settlement, and you put a tremendous amount of risk on you and your brokerage. But you're not operating a business. You're running a sales job. You're not a base hitter. You're trying to be a home run hitter. Yeah. And in history, Noel, base hitters have been far more successful than home run hitters have ever been. And the third thing that you got to do is you got to make sure that every customer you work with has the kind of buying and selling experience they're excited to tell a friend about. And what's interesting, Noel, is the bigger you get.
I love that saying. It's wonderful. I'm going to use it.
It's good. And everybody on your call ought to use it, right? There's nothing new under the sun when it comes to real estate. There are people who've gone ahead of you. But the amazing part is, like when we were expanding into multiple markets or multiple businesses, people would say, man, you're thinking big. Actually, we were thinking very small. We were thinking about every customer we had. Were they having a great experience? Could they have a better experience? The world we live in, Noel, is very transparent, isn't it? Think about it. Like somebody goes and they have a bad experience with your company. They write it on Yelp. They write it on Angie's List. They write it on Google Reviews, GMB. all these things. So
And you
what?
know what's funny, and not to interrupt you, but I was talking about this yesterday with another agent, and what you just said, it's transparent. If there's a bad experience, they'll blast you for it. But it's not only you, it's your firm and your brokerage that you work for.
Yep.
And I was asking them if they ever had any objections from like making an expired call. And the expired on the other end is like, oh, you're with such and such brokerage. I'll never do business with them again because I had such a bad experience with whatever the agent was that they had prior. And I'm like, whoa, but wait a second, we're not the same people. Like, not at all. Like,
Yep.
and once you get that bad taste in your mouth as a consumer, like you said, you put it out there. And then Rick, you work for the same company that I do, and nobody wants to talk to you because of that
Yep.
reason.
Yeah, because your name tag's the same, your logo's
Yeah.
the same, the color of your shirt's the same, or whatever. And it's even worse than that, Noel, because I use the metaphor, or probably more of an analogy, that it's like an invisible whiteboard in front of your business. Like imagine you're walking up to your front door of your office building, and there's this invisible whiteboard that people could write whatever they want. And what happens is as people come up, they see this whiteboard and what somebody wrote, maybe it was true, maybe it wasn't true, maybe they were having a good day, maybe they were having a bad day,
Yeah.
maybe it's not even for you. It's for an agent down the street or another agent in your office, like you just mentioned. And what happens is the person walks up, and because they didn't have a great buying and selling experience, or they didn't have a good experience with your company, they write something on that board. The next person shows up, they read it, and they don't even knock on your door. They don't even open the
Correct.
front door of your building, and they turn around. It's because, well, where's my business? And I look online and they've got a ton of negative reviews. They just weren't intentional building their digital presence like they were their physical presence, and it hinders them.
How important is that to you, do you think, digital presence? How do you
I'll
like
tell you how
Facebook and
important
like social media wise?
it's the key. It's when people think of real estate, do they think of you? And when you are in a place where when lots of people think of real estate,
Mhm.
they think of Noel, you've won the game. And if you want more market share, then get more people when they think of real estate to think of you. And
Yep.
today, people aren't packing around their mailbox and receiving and opening their mail. They bring their phone, they check in on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, and they Google and they chat GPT and they Siri and all these things. And you and I have to be intentional about what is online. We have over 1,500 five-star reviews as a company, and we worked really hard to get that. And one of the ways we did it is we realized this, and every person we brought into the company, we said, you do not fit unless you go get 5 reviews. So we bring on an agent, immediately they'd get 5 five-star reviews. And it was pretty easy because they just said, hey, I just joined, RFT, or I just joined this or whatever. And then what would happen is people would say, congratulations, congratulations. They say, hey, would you leave me a character review? I know we worked together in that nonprofit. I know we worked together in that other job. I know we did these things together. And they would leave 5-star reviews. And that helped us build out our online presence. And it helped our agents who we put appointments on agents' calendars, one of the strategies that we have. And we found that if I put an appointment on your calendar, Noel, if you're part of our company, and you have 0 reviews, the likelihood of that appointment getting canceled goes way up. But Noel, if you've got a bunch of 5-star reviews,
is that on your end?
I guess Zoom is trying to create emojis on my behalf. If you're listening to this, it's because as I'm telling this story, I put my thumb up, and Zoom comes in and or StreamYard comes in.
I know. I've never seen it before. But hey, they wanted to get your point across because it's accurate.
They do. I think they like it because they gave me a thumbs up, clearly.
So those little distractions that now we have to like reel it back into where we were at. But the online presence, which I know is important, like you said, I mean, you do look and see. Mine could be stronger for sure. I do know that. And you're right. It's going back, even just going back to old clients and having them write reviews. And because they always say, anything I can do for you, anything I can do for you. And you're like, well, besides a referral, let's write some reviews.
Well, I told you one tip that we use. We'd hire a new agent or even a new employee, and I'd have them write a review. I'll tell you another tip that we did. We'd open up a new office, and we have what we call a pre-launch campaign. Okay. Now, I'm not ready to launch the office, pre-launch. And what I would do is I'd build a network of people, and I'd go and I'd secure a lease on a new office. And I'd go to the network of people and I'd say, hey, we just got this office. Here's the pictures of it or whatever. Would you go in on Google and write a review based on your experience working with our company? And they'd go on immediately because they liked working with our company, and they'd write a review. And here's what happened. The first time I did this, it took me several years to show up #1 organically on Google, right? When you type in real estate agent in your market. But then as I started getting better at it and building out that network, we were opening offices, and 2 weeks later, after agents had worked in that market their entire life, their parents were brokers, their grandparents were brokers, and I'm going in, I'm launching an office. I have this network. I send off this email, pictures of the new office we just opened. I ask for a review. They go on and write a review, and in 2 weeks, I'm #1 in that market, saturating the first page of Google. Google Ads.
I mean, I'm in Virginia and you're in California, and I Googled you and you popped right up. Yeah. So it's working all the way on the other side of the country.
Well, it's about being intentional. We have a digital presence and we have a physical presence. And I don't know, maybe my grandfather was a real estate broker, and I don't think he ever put 2 thoughts into a digital presence.
No, probably not. Probably not.
And actually, he had a real estate license, not too far from you, but in South Carolina. And then he had one in California, and he was a broker, and he never thought about his digital. Now I think equally about a digital presence as I do my physical presence. And what I mean by that is, if you think about it, one procures today and one endorses in every situation. What I mean is, like, if I'm talking to a neighbor and I say, hey, tell me about a good real estate agent, someone you'd recommend. They have a physical relationship with, hey, yeah, this agent helped me sell my home, helped me buy a home. They're in my church, they're at my gym, whatever. Then what's going to happen is they're going to give out that physical referral. And then before they even pick up the phone or call, text, DM, whatever, they're going to Google them. So that in that situation, the physical relationship procured it and the digital relationship endorsed it. And the same thing's happening when they find you on Google or on Zillow or on whatever website you're on. They'll Google you, and now they'll go ask their neighbor, hey, I'm seeing this guy or this gal is dominating our local market. They're the top agent. They got a lot of reviews. Have you ever used them? Do you know anything about them? Oh yeah, they're a great company. Procure and endorse. In every situation, this is becoming powerful. And it's why if you leave out one, what happens is you get the recommendation, you Google them, they're not, you don't have any presence. Somebody else shows up, they got 1,000 5-star reviews. What are you doing? You're calling that person.
Yeah.
You know, my wife and I, we, doing what we do, we travel a lot. We were just in Nashville.
Okay. Let's talk about this. I want to know more about the coaching side and what events you have coming up too.
Yeah, we were just in Nashville just a couple of weeks ago. We had an incredible group. It's the highest level real estate conversation out there. So this one's sky high. I mean, we're talking about multiple streams of income. We're talking about investing in real estate. We're talking about scaling your business, how you use your money as far as moving it from commissions to profits. We're talking about all of these things, how you manage your vendor relationships. And so we're now going to Las Vegas. Actually, we're in Las Vegas, November 14th, November 15th. We're at the Wynn Hotel. It will be, once again, the highest level of real estate conversation available. We talk about mergers and acquisitions. We talk about hiring. We talk about training. We talk about coaching your people, how to be more effective at doing that. We talk about raising the lid on your leadership. And it's a 2-day event. It's iccregionalsummit.com, iccregionalsummit.com. And you can go there and read all about it. It's an incredible, we've done a ton of these. And the reason we started moving to like a small group, and Noel, I'm talking about like 30, 35 people in the room. That's it. We've done them with over 1,000 people.
Okay.
But it just didn't, there weren't legs. There wasn't application. People heard the message. They were entertained. They had a few laughs. They enjoyed their time. They got to network. it's incredibly intimate. And then what happens is you leave with a core group of people that heard the same message you heard, and you're reaching out to them saying, hey, here's where I'm at, and here's where I'm at. And you're just making progress. We kind of build this small group setting, if you will. So our next one's November 14th, 15th, Wynn Hotel, a beautiful place. We're right there on the Las Vegas Strip. It is an intensive. This is unlike anything I've ever been a part of before. This is, I think, my 6th or 7th time doing it.
Okay.
And it is highly intense. It's like 2 days locked up in a hotel room with Brian Eisenhower, myself, and top leaders from around the country. And we talk about.
It sounds incredible.
My favorite part of
it, life-changing.
My favorite part of the conversation, Noel, is the shock on agents' faces when they realize the difference between the value of a real estate sales job and the value of a real estate brokerage. I mean, the economic value, right? And they realize they've been taught that when they make themselves the center point, they grow their sales job.
Yes.
But when they make their self the center point in a business, they actually reduce or diminish the value. And most people don't realize that. It's like if I sold my business and I'm the only salesperson in the business, what do I have to sell? Nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
People how to build that business without them being the center point, without them being the pillar that holds it together. We actually teach them how to build a business where they're outside of it and they're coaching their business to increase the economic value. Not everybody's ready to sell their business, and that's totally cool. Not everybody wants to sell their business, but they should build their business in such a way where they have that as an option. And that's
so you would say,
the points we teach.
So you would say the event in Vegas in November is it more geared towards brokers versus?
It's not geared to brokers. It's geared to real estate leaders.
Okay.
And we have a lot of brokers in the room. We have a lot of owners. But I have a lot of agents that are like, I get it.
They want to go further.
I get it that I only have so much time in my day and I can't meet with everyone. How do I grow this? How do I scale this? And how do I build out my foundation right?
Okay.
It's not made for the agent that's just like, tell me how to get my next deal. We're not interested in that.
Okay.
But it's very much geared to the agent that says, give me the foundational building blocks to success of how I can do what we started the conversation with, make more money, work less hours over time, and make a greater impact in the people around me. Like, teach me how to do that. That's the person we're like, we can help you.
That's who you want to see. Well, I love it. And thank you so much for coming on today, Rick. Other than the website that you offered for the event, is there another direct way to contact you if somebody's interested in having you coach them or just ask you any questions?
Yeah, of course. Reach out to me. Use my digital business card. All my social media, all my books are on there. Facebook, Instagram, all my resources are there. And it's simply connectwithrickfuller.com, connectwithrickfuller.com. Connect with me on any platform you want. And be happy to connect with anyone if you want to DM me with any questions you have about today or our next coming up event. We'd love to see you there.
Love it. Thank you so much.